And we'll bring Chris Harris in just a second. Arsenal beaten 2-0 on the day. Manchester City, the champions, who took their chances very, very well indeed. We can bring Chris in just a second here. Get him a headset, hopefully, and make sure that he can hear us. We just wrap things up here, obviously, Chris, before we go and see Kelly and Adi downstairs with Joel as well. We'll get some Twitter reaction for you, see what the fans are saying. What does Chris Harris say about the defeat?
It was a work in progress side against the finished article. We know how good City are. I think there are positives in the performance. We saw the pressing tactics. You couldn't see that in pre-season because we had the ball so much, but what better opportunity to show that new side of Arsenal than today against City, who did boss the ball for long periods. I thought we passed the ball better in the second half. There are positives. It's certainly not as bleak as it was the last time City came to the Emirates.
In terms of positives, myself and Adrian were talking about Arsenal's press. We were talking about the effect that Alex Lacazette had when he came on, and whether, you know, in future games, maybe if it's not Manchester City, we would see Aubameyang and Lacazette start together. We thought that generally Sokratis and Mustafi were quite good as a partnership. Petr Cech didn't really do anything wrong. Don't think he had any chance with the 2 goals, really. He made some really good stops as well. What else maybe would you pick out? Would you agree with any of those points?
I agree with that. I think Ramsey was a big plus for us as well. I think if you're going to play that high press, the energy Ramsey gives you, he was almost directing the other players.
Do you think that's why he was given the nod in that position ahead of Mesut?
I think so. If you're on the right-hand side or the left-hand side and you're leading the press, it's hard to bring the rest of the players with you in the middle. Almost kind of a captain's performance, even though he wasn't wearing the armband. That shows how important Aaron Ramsey is to Arsenal, and especially with the way Unai wants to play.
Yeah, Sokratis at the back alongside Mustafi. I don't think they did that much wrong. Won most of their aerial duels. Sokratis put himself on the line late on, a chance that Sterling had. You know, it's difficult for these players coming from different divisions, different leagues, different coaches, as we know. I thought he did OK today.
He did OK. I think
we're looking at 6s out of 10s, aren't we?
We are, but look at who we're playing. It's a baptism of fire. Even someone as experienced as Sokratis playing against City. Look at the players out on the bench. You know, Sane, De Bruyne, Gabriel Jesus. You know, they've got an embarrassment of riches. And Mahrez impressed me. He settled in really quickly. Looked great for Leicester, but the way he played and linked up with Aguero gave us a hard time from minute 1. I think 2-0 is a fair reflection of the game. There was that 5-6 minute spell when Lacazette came on. You thought we could maybe get something from this, but the Bernardo Silva goal, very well taken goal, rattled in from about 12 yards. That really did finish the game. And from there, City kind of kept us at arm's length, and that really is the mark of champions.
Matteo Guendouzi was probably the surprise name on the team sheet, or at least the opening 11. I thought he did OK. I think in pre-season he's been busy. He looks like he wants the ball. He always shows. He shows ambition. He'll never back out of anything. Did make one mistake that allowed Aguero in on goal, but he's 19 years old, and I think by and large he was a decent debut.
Yeah, he's 19. I think we've got to remember that. I think if everyone had been fit, and by that I mean if Torreira had not got so far in the World Cup, we may have seen Torreira start the game with Xhaka and Ramsey as well. Ramsey, of course, had that calf problem as well, so he's been struggling off a knock recently. Guendouzi deserves his place in the side. He really was the standout man in pre-season, but we saw in the first half, just in front of us, that he was getting hassled off the ball. You know, the pace of the game, the intensity of the game at this level against the best like City caught him by surprise, but I thought he grew into the game. He finished the 90 minutes as well.
Formation-wise, what did we see different from Unai Emery that we didn't see last season, bar that press? Because it looked like a sort of 4-2-3-1, then a 4-3-3. That's sort of what Emery likes to play, or has played previously.
Yeah, 4-2-3-1 really. Unai's tried different formations in pre-season. Tried a 4-4-2. I think it was in the doubling game against Chelsea. Didn't really work at all.
Did it? No.
And he came out of the game saying didn't really like what the passing was like in that kind of formation. So he changed it at half-time. Aubameyang came on in that game. We went to a 4-2-3-1. I think that's going to be his preferred option, and I think it works well with the pressing game he wants to play. From a fan's point of view, atmosphere was fantastic at kick-off, and for much of the game, I think the second goal sort of killed it a little bit, and I think everyone realised that it was going to take a tremendous effort, or maybe a City slip, for us to get maybe something from the game. A lot of goodwill behind Unai Emery, a lot of goodwill behind all the new signings and the team in general at the moment. We can't keep losing games, though, can we? So how long do you think is that going to last? Do we need to get something at Chelsea? Does it matter? Are they free hits at the moment? How do you see the next few weeks going? I'll finish where I started. It's a work work in progress, and the fans have got to stay with this.
OK, we will head back down to Adrian and Kelly for more reaction, more tweets, plenty of analysis and discussion still to come.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Adrian has made his way into the studio and joined myself and Joel from Cheeky Sport. So let's go straight to the guys. Adrian, a disappointing afternoon. What did you make of the result?
Well, it's a disappointing result, isn't it? No one wants to lose on the first match of the season, but Manchester City are one of the best sides on the planet, aren't they? And I thought they were terrific today. We thought it might be a good time to play Manchester City. It didn't prove to be the case, did it? And I was slightly disappointed with Arsenal inside the final third. We had some great turnovers during this game, won the ball high up the pitch, but we weren't clinical enough from them, and I think that would be a real frustration for Unai Emery and for all of those guys involved, because Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan, Ozil, Lacazette, these guys, Aaron Ramsey, they're top-class players, but today, inside the danger zone, didn't quite happen for them.
I like what the guys up there said about it. It was kind of a finished article versus a work in progress. Joel, I know you liked that when the guys said you're always so positive, so see if you can put some positivity on this result and performance.
Well, I'm going to start off by copying what you said. It was a work in progress against the finished article. So I can't really be disappointed. I mean, some of these guys have hardly trained, you know. So to be honest with you, the way I look at it, there's loads of positives to take from the game. I mean, a lot of the boys are still getting to know each other. Don't forget, we were under Arsene Wenger for 22 years. 22 years, there's a lot that's been changed in the backroom staff, different training, different methods, different diets. So at the moment, I'm A-OK, happy. It's the first game of the season. I remember that year when Chelsea lost to Arsenal very early on, and they went to win the league. So you know what? It's just the beginning. We'll be all right. On that, I do think that there's a lot of information, a lot of new information for the players to take on board. And in friendly games that are played at a much slower pace, it's much easier to put those new ideas into practice. But when you're playing against City, one of the best teams in the world, who are brilliant at getting in your face, that's when that lack of cohesion sort of plays out. And I think we saw that today. We are a work in progress, and it'll get better.
Well, definitely that seems to be the consensus from most fans out there. Obviously, disappointment as well. We've been monitoring what you guys have been saying on Twitter during that second half and collating some of them. Now, there was a lot of positivity about Lichtsteiner. We saw a lot of, obviously, he came on during the first half. That was an enforced change. Mr. D says, lol, love it, Lichtsteiner. What a character. What Arsenal really needed. And Adrian, I wanted to pick you up on that because we saw a lot of that in pre-season. A slightly older head, more mature experience. Potentially what this Arsenal side do really need.
Yeah, he's a grizzly defender, isn't he? He
I love that. Big grizzly bear.
He is, and he's feisty, and he won't take any messing, will he, from opposition players. So Lichtsteiner, I think, is a really good addition to the squad. I think he's a good character. He's used to winning. We talked about that in commentary. He played regularly for Juventus over the last few years. So no, will he, you know, displace Hector Bellerin? Probably not. But he will push him, and that could happen over time. And I think he didn't really put a foot wrong at left back. I've not got an issue. Obviously, we're disappointed that Maitland-Niles is going to be missing. We don't know how far Nacho Monreal is away from full fitness, but if it's Lichtsteiner again, don't have an issue with that.
It does also go back to what you said, though, as well. These players are going to take time to bed in. It's not only the players that were here before learning Unai Emery's style, but it's also these new players coming to a whole new club, a whole new culture, a whole new league.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's not easy for anybody, but you have to start somewhere, don't you? With Lichtsteiner, he's got the advantage that he's a very experienced player, so he's played a lot of international football. I think he'll adapt just fine to life in the Premier League and to wearing the Arsenal shirt. So we'll see how he goes. He's probably going to be a backup, I guess, over the course of the season. But as we found out today, we will get injuries. Maitland-Niles, it was a shame to see him limp off. But Lichtsteiner, I don't have any problems with him defensively. He's just a little bit unbalanced on that left-hand side. Hasn't got a peach of a left foot, but he did create a great chance. He raided down the left, lovely little cutback from Mesut Ozil, so he made contributions.
Definitely, I'm sure the best is still to come from him. Now, moving on, there was a lot of consensus about City just being too good, and that's what Liam Dimmick said on Twitter. He just said, City are too good, man. Nothing Cech could do there. He's been immense today. Great finish. Obviously, Joel, it was a big call to play Cech because a lot of people at the end of last season saying Arsenal needs a new keeper. They got him, but he still went for Cech. What did you make of his performance today?
First of all, massive shout out to Lee. Keep on tweeting Arsenal. We love it. I just want to say, you know what? It's competition. Cech's come back. He's been banging the weights just like me a little bit. And you know what? He looked to me, he looked like he was doing really well in pre-season, and you cannot blame the manager for saying, you know what, this is against City, I'm going to go for the experience. Because if he had put in Leno in goal and we had the same result, people would have said, why on earth did you change Leno and put in Cech? You know, I mean, change Cech and put in Leno. I mean, you've got to understand, you have to balance the team. You need some of the old heads. You need some of the experienced guys to try to settle the nerves. And it doesn't get more experienced than Cech in a game like this. So I totally back the coach for putting in Cech. It's the only way, to be honest with you. It's far too soon. Still early doors, man. We need to chill out. People need to fight for their positions. And as the season progresses, it will be clear to us, is it going to be Cech? Is it going to be Leno? At the current moment, they're both fighting it out. Leno, you only came yesterday. Take a seat.
Thanks for that, Joel. Now, Shorty has said, any Arsenal fan with sense expected defeat today. I'm not sure as a football fan you ever go and expect defeat, but I think you know what he's getting at. He said, we are playing against the greatest Premier League team in a decade. Patience is required. Adrian, we said that at half-time, and I feel like we need an even bigger dose of kind of perspective, patience and all of that.
Of course. Manchester City are sensational. They really are. They're brilliant at every aspect of the game. The stats don't lie. Last season only conceded 13 goals away from home.
Wow.
They are outstanding.
Joel's impressed with that stat.
Well, going forward, we know that they're brilliant, but they don't concede that many either. They gave Arsenal half chances today, and I think that's something they will not be too happy with. They were lucky in some respects that we didn't punish them, but no, this is a class team that will make life difficult for every team they face this season. So we shouldn't beat ourselves up. Arsenal, I think, could have performed better going forward. But I think actually to only concede 2 was an achievement of sorts. It doesn't sound like a great thing to celebrate, but they did hang in there, Arsenal, during this game. I think that was important.
But Adrian, I have to say though, you saw when Lacazette came on. My word, that changed the game. I mean, anything could have happened.
It lifted everybody, didn't it?
It really did. I mean,
temporarily, it kind of didn't last, but I think it gave them something different to think about. I don't mind Aubameyang coming in off the left because I'll tell you why I don't mind it. It's because they combine well. They've got good combination.
Good chemistry.
Play.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think that's probably the way forward.
I didn't agree with you at half-time. I was just like, what's Adrian talking about? He can never be coach ahead of me. But when I saw him on the left-hand side, I said, you know what? I see what you're saying. Aubameyang, direct, gave Kyle Walker a bit of problem for those 15 minutes. And Lacazette, unfortunate, you know, he did have a few chances. A few went over the bar, but it will get better. It will get better.
I'm glad you two have resolved your coaching differences, if nothing else. Now, don't forget, we are asking you a question over on our Facebook page. We're asking you, what are the positives from today's game? So make sure you comment on that, and I might be reading that out very shortly. Now, we've got one other tweet here from Lewis Morrison talking about Guendouzi, and I want to talk about him in a little bit more depth. Lewis has said, he looks really good. The fact he's only 19 means he can only improve. Couple of mistakes here and there. That's expected. He's 19. He keeps emphasising he is 19, which I think is a key part of analysing him. But determination to win the ball back is brilliant. Going to be a good player for Arsenal going forward. Adrian, I know you're a big fan of him after pre-season. A difficult start for him today, but what did you make of his performance?
Yeah, how old is he again?
I think he might be 19. I'm not sure. You might want to ask Lewis Morrison. Yeah,
I hope he is 19. No, he's a fantastic talent. It was a really challenging debut for him because City were never going to make it easy for him. They were always going to pressurise him whenever he had possession of the ball. And I felt sorry for him. I talked about it in commentary. Unai Emery wants the team to play out from the back. Yeah, I don't think he really wanted to go into some of those areas to get the ball because he felt, oh, I'm under pressure here. I might lose it and lose a goal. So I think he coped well with the pressure. I think he grew into the game. Some of his passing in the second half was terrific. One bad mistake, clearly on the counter-attack. That was just naivety. He went with the wrong foot. If you're the last man, you cannot take any gamble. Just control the ball, clear your lines. But he gambled, and well, Petr Cech got us out of jail with that particular one. But I would say there was a mixed debut for him, but more positives than negatives.
Joel, we talked about the manager having to make big calls. He made one with the goalkeeper. It was a big call to also play Guendouzi. What did you think of, firstly, the decision to start him and how he did?
Well, what else could he have done, first of all? I mean, I was really proud of the boy. If I was having a chat with him in the changing room, I'll say, well done. You know, you have done a very, very good job. Of course it happens. You'll make 1 or 2 mistakes, but it's better that he gets him out of his system right now because we're going to need that boy as the season goes on. Believe me, you know. Look at our players. You never know what could happen. Aaron Ramsey, calf injury that he's carrying. As the season goes on and we're in the Europa League, we're going to need to keep encouraging him. And I reckon if that's your debut against Man City, who are probably top 5 in the world, then my friend, you've got a very good future in your hands.
Yeah, well, his game, Kelly, is built on getting the ball and moving it forwards. Unfortunately, we just didn't have enough of the ball today, and so we didn't see enough of that side of his game. It will come in the easier games. Obviously, we'll see him shine more. But he would have learned more from this game than 20 friendlies.
Exactly. So,
20 friendlies.
And plus, like you said, on most occasions, we're going to have the ball more than the opposition anyway. So he's going to have a lot of time to nurture that kind of game. But also, when you're playing against those top sides, he's going to have the chance to, like I have to say, chill out, take your time, spread the ball how you do it, man.
I'm not sure any manager will ever let a player chill out, but I get what you're saying there, Joel. Now, you've kind of already answered this question, guys, but one we wanted to pose to you, was it us or them? Was today's result about Man City being just too good, or was it the fact that Arsenal maybe made mistakes? Adrian, I'm going to let you roll with this one first.
Well, I'll keep it simple. I think it's them. I think we're up against a world-class team that know the system, know the manager, know each other. They were really in sync today. Arsenal weren't in sync. Simple as that.
Joel, what about for you? Because you've talked about how good Man City were. It certainly looks like they've picked up where they left off last season.
Well, like I said, Raheem Sterling didn't score in any of the games against England in 10 matches. Comes on today, bam! Right on the money. I have to say, Man City were just too good. I mean, the fact that they didn't even start with Kevin De Bruyne gave me chills, because when he came on, I mean, it's like he didn't even have to do much. City are an awesome team. You have to give them credit when it's due, right?
And Joel, when you came into the room before we went on air for this show, you talked about the Aaron Ramsey substitution. You said, was he injured or was that tactical? We do believe that was tactical. And this is another thing we're looking at. He made his substitutions early today. He made big calls very early, didn't he?
I was a massive fan of that. I was so confused. And for me, I thought it was, because I've never seen it before. I haven't seen it for years here. And you know what? It was just a breath of fresh air for me, because as soon as Lacazette came on, I feel like even he felt like he had the time to come on and make the change, I mean, for 15, 20 minutes, I thought we were on fire, and I really thought that we were going to get something. Well, maybe less than 20 minutes, but I thought that we were going to get something out of it. And it's just because Lacazette thought, you know what, I've got enough time here to link up with the boys and do what I have to do. It just didn't work today, but I liked it. Proactive, really positive. I want to see more of that as the season goes on.
Managers are often judged on those decisions, aren't they, Adrian? Making them at the right time in the game. Did he get the timings of those changes right for you?
I think he did. Obviously, one was forced on him with Lichtsteiner. But yeah, with Lacazette, I liked it. I thought it was the right time. It wasn't really working. I didn't think Aaron Ramsey was really in the game. He wasn't as effective as he usually is. So no, I would have made that change. And there are a lot of managers out there that would have made a change like that at half-time. Now, we're not used to that. Arsene Wenger was what was it, 65, 66, 67? Yeah, that was always the case. But I think Unai Emery could see what was happening. I think he responded in the right way. And for a while it worked with Lacazette. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the goal.
This is a bit of a conundrum we had before the game about the left-back position. This is the next thing I wanted to look at, because obviously Maitland-Niles started there, was unfortunately, I felt really sorry for him, forced off due to injury during that first half. But as you've touched upon, Lichtsteiner did come on and do really well. Do you think he'll be starting there next week against Chelsea? Adrian, I'll put it to you first.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I wouldn't leave him out. It depends on the fitness of Nacho Monreal, of course. If he's fit and available, then I think that he would be first choice, clearly. So we'll have to watch this space. But Lichtsteiner, for me, didn't do anything wrong. I didn't see Kyle Walker bomb on as much in the second half. In that first period, he flew around the outside, didn't he, of Riyad Mahrez a few times. That didn't really happen moving forward. And I think that was a lot to do with Lichtsteiner's positional play. He's a smart cookie. He knows what he's doing, and he can be trusted, I think, at left-back. We will lose a bit going forward, but first and foremost, I think you have to keep things tight at the back.
Now another talking point, we've already touched upon it as well. It was a big talking point before the game as well. Is Cech now the number one? Has he done enough today to stake his claim? Joe, I'll let you run with this one first.
Well, it's the first game of the season. I don't want to hear any footballer in Arsenal Football Club saying, I deserve to be in the starting 11. Even my man, Mesut Ozil, you have to fight for it. There's a new manager, it's a new era, and certainly Cech, he's coming up against a very good goalkeeper in Leno, who of course, coming from a big club like Bayer Leverkusen, you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to fight. You don't just turn up and become the number one goalkeeper for Arsenal. It doesn't work that way, especially not under our coach Unai Emery. Emery.
Well, it would have worked that way if he'd have impressed in pre-season. If he'd have been better than Cech in pre-season, Leno would have started.
Do you reckon? Because we're talking about
Well,
Peter Cech here.
He wasn't bought to be a sub.
He wasn't, but we're talking about Peter Cech here. You know, this is one of the best goalkeepers.
Arsenal wanted a new goalkeeper because they weren't necessarily sure about Petr Cech's form. I think a lot of fans, obviously, you know, we can all disagree, but I think a lot of fans wanted a new goalkeeper. And I was really surprised that Leno didn't get the nod today because he was bought for big money. But having said that, Cech did get the start. And for me, I think he was probably Arsenal's best player. And absolutely, he is the number one now. You don't chop and change your keepers. You don't mess around with your keepers game on game. You don't go, okay, you have this game, you have this game. It's not going to work like that.
Adrian, it's just
he's number one.
But it's the first game of the season, first of all, and secondly, we have to give massive credit to Peter Cech because he came back looking really fit, being really fit. So that could have had a massive point to do with it. I know what you mean. I definitely thought he was going to be number one. I did think he was going to be number one, but I'll tell you what. It's the start of the season. The way I see it, it's a flat ground for everyone as soon as Unai Emery's in. As the season goes, we will see more who he reckons will be.
Well, Leno will get his chance in the Carabao Cup, in the Europa League now, and he's going to have to play out of his skin to displace Cech, unless, of course, Cech makes a few errors in the weeks to come. But I thought he was really good today. I thought
Arsenal's best player.
The save from the 1v1. Well, I mean, who made more contributions than Petr Cech today?
Well, to be honest, it's hard because Man City had the ball quite a lot.
But Man City had a lot of chances, and Cech made a number of saves and kind of kept the scoreline at 2-0.
I'm not saying he didn't have a good game. Very good saves, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I can't ignore the fact that he did needlessly give the ball away a bit, which did not make me feel very comfortable.
It wasn't a perfect performance by Cech, you know. But who did their job better than, you know, their individual job the best today? I think that Petr Cech is a definite candidate.
Well, then I need to rewatch the match because right now I'm struggling to give you an answer. But
okay, break it up, boys. I'll
let you know, Adrian.
The one thing I did want to say to you on that, Adrian, was do you feel it's a case, you talked about the fact that they obviously went out in the summer and bought a new goalkeeper because they felt they needed one. Do you feel like bringing that goalkeeper in has taken Cech to another level, back to the level perhaps he was at during his early time here at Arsenal?
It might have done, yeah. I think there's a good logic to that argument. He's a world-class keeper. He always has been. We know that. And he wasn't awful last year at all, but he did make a number of mistakes. I think statistically he made more mistakes that cost goals than the majority of Premier League keepers. That's the reason Arsenal invested big money in a new keeper. But he's got the shirt, and he's earned that through hard work in pre-season, impressive performances. And I do believe that you're right. He's probably been G'd up a little bit by the arrival of the younger man. But now it's his shirt. It is his shirt, and he's going to have to make a few mistakes before Leno gets it.
I know you guys can't see Joel's face right now, but I kind of wish he could. He's just not looking happy.
I can't
He's
wait
not agreeing,
to be
but
right, Adrian.
I am not going to cause this argument to restart. It was a very healthy argument. One thing for certain this new goalkeeper has caused is debate, and I think there's probably a lot of Arsenal fans that are kind of debating it as well. But Cech did make a number of good saves today, and for now he does look set to be Arsenal's number one. Now let's take a little look at what you guys have been saying in response to our Facebook question. As always, you've been very vocal in your responses. We asked you, what are the positives we can take from today? And Juha Kavisto says, the second half was better. We need time to adapt now and get some wins and confidence. Maybe against Chelsea, oh, I can't believe you said this, Leno starts. Ow, this is going to restart the argument, no. And also Torreira. Guendouzi, and he couldn't spell that. I'm not going to try and spell it, but it's not good. Guendouzi is young, and that was shown in the first half. Ozil was not nearly at his best, but rise and shine. Right, there's a few things we can pick out from this one. I'm definitely not going to ask you again your thoughts on Leno, but Torreira came on second half. I know, Adrian, he was someone you were very excited to see. How did you feel he did?
I thought he did really well. Yeah, good introduction. He made a couple of good recovery interceptions. He's everywhere. His passing was really good. He gave the ball away once, I think, inside Arsenal's half. Twice maybe. All right, Joel.
Yeah. Can't agree on anything now, can you?
But I think he was neat and tidy, and I expect him to be first choice moving forward.
Yeah.
Are you agreeing?
I have to agree with him. He's going to be first choice. I mean, because if you did switch it from Cech this week to Leno next week, then you kind of look like you don't really know what you're doing. It's too soon for that. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer if he wants his opportunity. But you know what? It doesn't mean he's not going to be Arsenal's number one. I just reckon it's just going to take a little longer. Remember a fella called Thierry Henry. Yeah.
Big boots to fill there if we're going to compare him to Thierry Henry. Anyway, moving on. James Bayford, and this is a bit of perspective for us all. It's one game. Calm down. I think he's heard you two arguing. This is a game in which we can and need to learn from. Stop playing out from the back. We haven't got the defenders that can do that or adapt to the situation. Is that harsh or fair, Adrian?
On the playing out from the back, I thought we tried to do it too much, and I think sometimes there was an opportunity to just go longer. I understand that the manager has instructed the players to play that way. He's really encouraging them. He's saying, I don't mind you taking those risks, but the way the game was panning out, I felt that sometimes we were overplaying, and it was really precarious. We got away with it. City did the same, and they gave it away probably more than we did in those situations, but that is something we are going to get much better at over the weeks and months to come. Have we got the players to do it? Yeah, these players can improve, and I think they'll be working hard on it at the training ground.
Joel, do you want to see Arsenal be a bit more direct? Not all the time, but at times, perhaps.
Of course, who doesn't want to see direct football? I mean, to be honest with you, for me, I love to see the Arsenal style of play, what I've grown up in watching, but sometimes you've got to do what you have to do for the game. When you're playing against Man City, if it's time, right, I know this is going to sound a bit crazy, but if it's time to knock it long a little bit, make Aubameyang stretch the defence, I'd rather we do that than mess around with it at the back, because I do believe our players will grow to be good enough to pass it from the back. But right about now, I think Maitland-Niles still has a lot to learn. Bellerin still has a little confidence to regain. Of course, Mustafi's probably the most experienced when it comes to that. But I'd rather we just stick to what we're good at. It's going to take time. I just want to see us stretch those defenders, man, because I do really reckon Mendy wasn't as fit as he could be. So I thought it was a real chance to exploit him today, and I would have rathered more direct, I'll say long passes to trouble the right-backs a little bit more, or the full-backs, sorry.
Well, our final tweet of the day is from Sultan. He's looking at a different area of the pitch. He said, we lost the game, but the boys performed really well, showing the hope of improvement, which is a good thing to take on. But I feel that the one area we need to improve on is finishing. Take more shots on target, and that will pay off. Good luck for next game, and good work, Emery. So an overall positive tweet, Adrian. And it feels quite funny to say about finishing after a pre-season where Aubameyang and Lacazette have kind of been free scoring. But are you inclined to agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I was talking about it in commentary, wasn't I? Inside the final third, that we underperformed. It's as simple as that. We didn't have that many gilt-edged chances, but the half chances we had, we wasted. And I think that Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ozil, Ramsey, all of the forward guys will look back and think, you know what, inside the final third, I could have been a bit sharper today. It will come because they're all top quality players. Today, they didn't bring their shooting boots.
Agreed.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think it's down to? Is it confidence? Is it just match sharpness, getting back into the rhythm again?
I guess some days it just doesn't work out for you. You know, I don't think it's something to look too deep into. It's still the beginning of the season. City were just sharper. City are better. City are the finished article. So I reckon give it a few weeks. I reckon the boys will look. They know what they have to do now. I love the fact that Aubameyang gets along well with Lacazette. They've got a lot of challenges in training, for a few shooting challenges in there. I'm sure you guys will be fine. I'm not sweating about it. But at the same time, we do need to take it seriously, because when it comes to the business end of the season, you don't know what difference that could have between us and the other top 6 teams.
I knew we'd get you guys agreeing on something in the end. Now, I want to wrap up the show by asking you both, this is a bit of a tricky one, for your kind of review of the game in one word. What's your one takeaway word from that performance? I can already hear Adrian laughing, so I'm going to go to you first. You've got 2. I don't want 2 words, I want 1.
Humbly.
I think that's a pretty good assessment. Joel won't agree, though. What's your word?
Encouraging.
Oh, brilliant. Lovely and positive. That's what we like to hear. And they almost agreed on that word as well, I think. Well, a big thank you to everyone who joined us on Arsenal Nation today. We've had some fantastic guests. Not the result we wanted for the first game of the season, but we will be with you for every match day of the 2018-19 campaign. Whether we're home or away, this is your place to follow the Gunners this season. So we hope you'll join us again for next week's game against Chelsea. We'll see you very soon.